As Dr. Roger Mitchell said, he wrote an incredible book called Death in Custody.
Yeah.
But Roger, this book addresses a problem that we all have, and I want you to talk about, just define the problem. What's happening that we need to know about?
So we all know that there's a problem. We all know because we were in COVID. We heard about George Floyd. We lived through George Floyd. We lived through Philando Castile. We lived through Sandra Bland. And the names go on and on. We lived through, for those of you who are even old enough to remember Amadou Diallo, we lived through all of those deaths. And so the problem is that we're dying and people are dying in this country at a higher rate in connection with the criminal legal system, whether it's law enforcement, jails, or prisons.
Right. Now, I've learned so much from you in the last 6 months.
Officialignorance.com.
Dr. Mitchell wrote this book with his partner, Jay Aronson, and then they gave me the opportunity to produce their podcast called Official Ignorance. And in producing that podcast, I get the front row seat to listen to these two brilliant men and their colleagues discuss this problem in America that some of us maybe not even acknowledging that we are impacted by. And one of the key moments in that podcast was a discussion with two journalists in Pennsylvania. And the young lady, Brittany, what's Brittany's last name?
I think Brittany's last name is Haler.
Brittany Haler said, you might think you're not impacted by this, but you can get a DUI. You can get a DUI and end up never making it home. And the really thing that drove it home to me was she was talking about how people with mental health issues end up, instead of getting mental health help, being jailed and never being charged and never being helped, and could end up dying in the system. And the count is over 1,000 people a year, and the count isn't even real, meaning it's just a fraction of the real problem because many jurisdictions are failing to do the count.
That's it.
So you have a solution for how we can, you present a solution in the book for how we can move this forward. Talk about that.
So, you know that Black women die from a higher rate surrounding maternal mortality, right? In and around pregnancy. And the reason why we know that is because there's a checkbox on the U.S. standard death certificate that tells us that. And so as a forensic pathologist, I sign death certificates for a living. That's what I do. And as a function of that, I know how powerful that public health tool is. That public health tool to sign a death certificate. So what I'm asking for, what we've been pushing for on the podcast and the book, and all over the country, quite frankly, on places like Morning Joe I've been on, or Meet the Press I've been on, and several other news outlets. We talk about a checkbox on the U.S. standard death certificate that says death in custody. And if we do that, then we can start identifying the people that are dying in and around the criminal legal system. We have to start counting. If we don't count, then we're not going to know. And if we count, then we can start preventing the deaths. That's what, there is a checkbox for smoking on the death certificate. Some of you remember when people thought cancer wasn't caused by smoking. The reason why we know cancer and smoking go together is because there's a checkbox on the death certificate that says smoking and the cause of death says cancer. So we believe that the checkbox on the death certificate is the solution. The name of the book is called Death in Custody, How America Ignores the Truth and What We Can Do About It. The what we can do about it is the public health approach to death in custody.
Well, I have a question for you that I never asked you until this moment, and I didn't think to ask it. With the tobacco companies being so powerful historically, they must have resisted the idea of putting that checkbox on the death certificate that smoking caused cancer. But it still happened. So what was the opposing force that made it happen despite the resistance of the tobacco lobbyists?
So the force against the tobacco lobbyists was the American Cancer Society, the ACS. So the American Cancer Society was extremely instrumental, but quite frankly, it was people in power that realized that smoking was causing death in their loved ones. right? It wasn't until someone from someone's family that is in power to say, you know what, we need to get this smoking tobacco under control. It's not going to be until someone in power loses their loved one at the hands of law enforcement or in jails and prisons do that we really get that momentum. But we don't have to stop. Howard University is the most powerful university on the face of the earth. There is nowhere you can go. There is no place you can travel that someone, if you got a small H on you, they're gonna walk up to you and say, did you go to Howard? My grandmother, my grandfather, my cousin, my aunt, whoever it is, they went to Howard. If we can get behind this notion of a movement, and movement started here.
Right.
We wouldn't have have fought against separate but equal if it wasn't for Howard University. Right. So we stand on the shoulders of all those that have came before us in this book called Death in Custody, How America Ignores the Truth and What You Can Do About It, deathincustody.com. We have work to do. And the work that we have to do is advocacy surrounding this issue. My daughter just walked in. Shout out to Nina Marie Mitchell, full government.
The podcast. I like to get a
The
little
voice of the podcast.
I'd like to get a little participation from just the people who were here with us today. Just by show of hands. Raise your hand if anyone in your family or anybody you love has had mental health issues. Raise your hand. So okay, we understand that that's a thing, right? Now, hands down. Raise your hand if anyone you love or in your family has ever been incarcerated on either the local or the federal level. Okay? So now we're talking about a problem that impacts most people in this room. And that's what we want you to know. The book is fantastic. There's also a companion podcast called Official Ignorance. If you listen to podcasts, go ahead and subscribe to Official Ignorance. And also, get your book from Dr. Mitchell while he's here with us today. And you know what? If anybody has any questions, I want you to raise your hand and come and ask him.
Are there any undergraduate Howard students in this room?
Graduate students at Howard, current graduate students.
If you're a graduate student at Howard, come up here. If you're a graduate student at Howard, come up here. Just come up here real quick. If you're a graduate student at Howard.
Love it.
If you are a graduate student too, you come up here. You come up here too. Here, let me give you that. No, you stay up here. Hold on.
The mic could have gone with you. It's cordless. Roger,
That's your gift.
do what Roger Mitchell does.
That's your gift. Please read it. What's your major in grad school?
Medical sociology.
Medical sociology. I am a medical doctor. I wrote this book. There's a lot of sociology in this. When you're done, I'm a professor here. Let's you and I do some work together, okay? After you read that, okay? All right. What's your major? Electrical engineering. We need some additional inventions on how we handle those that are incarcerated. So after you read this, let's talk about creative patents that we can put in jails and prisons, all right?
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Roger, this says that I want to get out of the way and let these people who want to talk to you go up to the side, have real conversations with you. And I want to thank you for the work that you're doing and for spending the time with us today and coming to the Alumni Lounge. Thank you.
Listen, shout out. Ain't you?
Thank you.